But before we can go into the what the program actually means in regard to the profile, we need to look at the program in a bigger sense. What Thoth introduced to me as a whole overall of the Seraphi program. So we're going to begin by giving a definition for Thoth universe because this fits into the first sentences on this. So here we go. The Atosic universe, a neutral universal field that holds the balance between the universe and anti-universe, preventing these two potentials from coming into direct contact with each other, which would result in the destruction of both. It is the unified field of all consciousness where there is no separation. All time fields and universal strata striking a harmonic in the center of the soul's atoma or inner heart sun, which is the composite of all 7 chakras. The Atosic universe is the charge release from time, space, matter divisions. The entrance point for the souls of Earth and their universal realm into the Atosic universe is the golden star of Mazariel. The touch point in this universal Mazariel is the Lion's Gate of the constellation of Leo. So now, then we have to talk about the Isis Eye. So let's read about that. The Isis Eye is a geometric for bringing together the Atosic universe as a point of mind, not in a physical sense, but as a hologram in the mind, enabling that sentience to sustain passage through conflicting time gates. The Areopax harmonic is a grid of time-reality exchange. Once activated, the grid allows the passage between multi-layered time fields without distortion. There are 16 reference nodes, those points of synapse which create a referral of information through the grid. There are 6 matrices in which to create virtual reality fields and the rhombic spinning field in the center. The spinning field is the time tunnel or vehicle for movement within the entire process. The parallel bar is the core accelerator, charging, discharging, and maintaining the energy separation between realities. Without the core accelerator, all interacting realities would become enmeshed in one another, something like wadding bundles of chewing gum together and then trying to separate them. You can see the Isis Eye here. I created it here in this particular scenario as a piece of jewelry, but you can see the principle, the dynamic that's at work there. This sacred geometric can be utilized singly and especially powerfully in groups to create full Metatron Merkabic fields for temporal periods of time in which germinations of new earth light codes can become engendered and multiply on their own beyond the temporal Areopax dynamic engendered. This then takes our humanity a giant step further in becoming the Elohim of our own created new earth. Once we get in touch with this reality through various forms of being and expression, all relating what is here being called the Areopax dynamic, we need no assistance from angels or ascended beings in accomplishing our own regenesis, for we will know, indeed experience, that they and us are one. So my luminary mentor, Thoth Racemus of Afra, has requested that I'm saying here Spirit Heart Sanctuary Spirit Mythos, begin a light program of installing and activating the Areopax dynamic 4444 Ascension Stargate key into the planetary grid. It is not our intention to do this alone. We are merely the mouthpiece to begin the activity through those individuals who feel guided to participate. We will also take the energetic role ourselves as individuals, and that was when Maya and Simeon were a team. As you know, my former husband Simeon's no longer in the picture with me in this regard, but still very much a friend and participant or on the peripheral, so to speak. So anyway, we were working with this, and as a Merkabic unit of consciousness, the whole program of the sanctuary that we were in. Spirit Heart Sanctuary is my technical nonprofit name, and it takes 2 much money and time to change it. So, but it's now really the New Earth Star Inner Academy, as far as I'm concerned, and the New Earth Star Sanctuary in Second Life. So anyway, we never really got this off and running. There were situations developing between us that caused us to separate, and there was also my health situation that really took a downturn at the time. This didn't really happen. I mean, it sort of did. We kind of put some things out there, but it didn't take off. And I'm feeling guided now to really bring this up again. So, but the first step, I don't want to totally get off on that right now, because I'm trying to talk about the individual, the Pymander Seraphi program individually for individual people. So this is something, though, that I'm looking at getting going again in a bigger way. But you needed to know about it in order to understand the profile better. So that's what we're going to look at next. Well, actually, no. We're going to look at another piece of it all. And this is Thoth on the Pymander Seraphi program, the bigger picture. I just read you about the Isis Eye, but now we need to go into here. So, Thoth on the Isis Eye is the Stargate, or more accurately, the Stargate dynamic into the Atosic or complete universe. This is the Eye of reconciliation with the Eye of Ra. Once the Isis Eye is wedded with the Eye of Ra, the latter is returned to Source. In order to enter upon the topic of psionics and radionics, it is important to understand that all energy is transmittable from one point to another instantaneously through focusing upon that energy or system which operates the energy with the intention and purpose. Of course, if you go further, you can also say that there's quantum entanglement, so it's multiply instantaneous everywhere. It's not even transmitted, it's just there, So there's two ways of looking at it, both are correct. The Elohim program, the Elohim Pymander computer is calibrated. I need to go back and say, well, the Elohim Pymander, let's take a look at that. Okay, Elohim Pymander, an assembly of energy created by me, the illumined being Thoth, he's speaking here, in concert with the Elohim Lords. The Pymander evolves reciprocals for biological systems to align and balance with Source. Source is the point of absolute which every particle carries as its creation code. The Pymander, then, is an Akashic radionics device. It is non-physical and yet interactive with the physical. It responds to thought, feeling, emotion, yet it cannot be commanded by these things. It will instead balance them to the source point. However, the Pymander is consciousness specific. It does not know what is not in its program database. Therefore, it only responds to what is within that database or repository. When I say consciousness specific, I mean that it responds to the consciousness and not the information. When information is placed into the database, it is the consciousness from which it originated that the Pymander evolves reciprocals from. A simpler definition: a higher dimensional computer created from the upper strata of the etheric planes to assist Earth and her humanity with the ascension process. We use the term computer in this sense loosely, as it has no hardware components. It is energy organization suspended in the most powerful electromagnetic regions of the inner Earth and is comprised of a consciousness-type plasma, etheric substance in a highly energized state that works with specific light encodings for specific light-engendered purposes, and which allows master beings to maintain and sustain a focus of intent without directional application of their own minds. It is like they can program the Pymander and then it does the work, thus the name computer. We won't go into more details right now. We're kind of going from one subject to another, but we got to get back here to the Pymander program. Okay, so we know what the Pymander is. So where was I reading about that? Okay, the Elohim Pymander computer is calibrated to send and receive universal light mathematics at galactic and intergalactic levels, utilizing frequencies that are above the Earth's current ability to intercept. As the Earth moves ever forward into the New Earth Star hologram, so the Pymander responds to the consciousness that is in alignment with its sensory filaments, somewhat like sensing computer chips. What is in alignment with the Pymander? That which moves within the vibrational streaming of spiritual awareness of the heart-centered being. I, Thoth, speaking from Thoth streaming now, and my Merkaba of Chariot of the Sun, as well as the Merkaba of the Host, these are two separate Merkabic vehicles of his. If I go off on all of this, we'll never get this article read, so I'm just going to keep going here. And several other major soul assemblages with whom my being integrates, such as the Kadmonis, the Gilead, and the Craft of the Brazen Serpent, are establishing in concert a program within the Pymander which we shall call the Seraphi. The Seraphi has recently, as of November 2007, been created to assist through specific light-engendered numeric codes the directing of the universal galactic light mathematics received by the Pymander into frequencies which can be identified and received by the current Earth human being. These Seraphi code translates into phi geometry formula, which are specific to the Pymander's procedural operation employing extremely high-frequency light waves. The angelic beings who emanate this level of encoding are the Seraphi. Deep breath, and I continue. The Isis I is the translator vehicle for these Seraphi codes as a direct transmission between old, current, and new Numisome Earth formats. The Seraphi program will issue numerics which can be used to draw upon and stimulate DNA encodings of similar value within human beings and within the planetary crystalline grid, which contains its own version of DNA crystals. These energies flowing through the Seraphi codes come from the universal geometries of light mathematics on a galactic and intergalactic level currently not accessible to Earth in this current world reality. The numerics of which we discuss here are placed into profiles, sequences that reflect specific quantum or bursts of energy through some outer stimulus in continual pulses. More simply stated, these numeric profiles must be utilized with a component that activates and maintains their stimulus and pulsing repetition, an energy device such as a radionics machine. The arrangement of especially powered phi crystals which have been charged and activated by a radionics machine can work in this capacity. Not as well as the actual machine itself, but it still works. It's just not quite as dimensional. Other crystals not charged activated by a radionics device, but charged through other means, such as a psionic template, will work to some extent, certainly worth doing. And we're kind of watering it down here, but even if you're just working with the crystals that have been charged by the psionic template, it would still be really good, okay? However, using the Seraphi profiles with a true radionics device amplifies the effectiveness of the profile 500 to 1,000 times, depending on the radionics device and other contributing factors. Combining working with the Seraphi profiles with both a radionics device and crystals is an especially powerful sending. Now, we're going to skip some of this that's no longer applicable because this little program that Simeon created that runs on the computer no longer runs on the current computers, and he's not into doing that anymore, so we don't have that now. Okay, so now we're going to go, let's see what else is here. So now, let us read from your personal Pymander Seraphi profile. This is the standard information that is sent to everyone who orders a personal profile, and included in it, though, are the unique numerics, and we'll get to that in a moment. General information. This document and its psionic template are the same for everyone except for the path sequences and profile numbers. These number sequences are uniquely yours. The Energy Art Psionic template, and that is, we're going to show you that right here. The Energy Art Psionic template contains your Seraphi profile number sequence. It is composed of 4 sets of 5 numbers per unit, each unit separated by a period. These 4 sets are called path sequences. They are brought together in your Seraphi program from your Venus sequence, your Earth Atoma sequence, which is the central sun of the Earth, your solar sequence, which is the solar system sun, and your galactic center sequence, or Hunabku galactic cross tree. Okay? Both your path sequences and consequently your Seraphi profile numbers are not static. They change as the Earth recrystallizes and respatializes through the forming of the new Earth star hologram. Your paths and profile represent the sacred randomness that is anything but random as we understand it. While it is not a topic I wish to expand here, in brief, sacred randomness can only be apprehended by removing oneself from the limitations of sequential time in quantum bursts and then reorganizing back into sequential time from the non-moment, what Thoth calls zero event. So you can see why I won't be expanding on this topic here. All you really need to know about it concerning your paths and profile is that you are a part of the sequencing that takes place in the quantum zero zones of zero event down to the smallest particle in your physical body and all energy presence of your being. You may not be apprehending it consciously, but your energy system is being generated through this process. Thus, your path sequences, of which Thoth has given only the 4 major ones here, there are actually millions of them, counting all subsystems, and your Seraphi profile will begin to move outside your frequency zone even as you begin to work with them. This motion will be so minuscule at first that it will not transcend the power of your experience with these sequences for at least 3 to 6 months. Ironically, the more you work with your numbers, the more powerful they become for you. But the faster you will then transcend the frequencies they offer you. So in other words, if you're really working with this steadily for, daily for months, it's going to accelerate the power of it, but it's also going to put you outside the field of it eventually, and you would need more numbers to get, more back in touch with your specific randomness, so to speak. Only you will be able to know when it is time for your new Seraphi profile. You can then choose to discontinue the old one and leave it at that, or order your updated profile numbers and their attendant paths. Ordering a new profile means that the Energy Art template will contain the new profile numbers and the new path sequences separated out into their respective fields for you. It will be the same template otherwise. Now, let's get to looking at the actual paths. Now, I'm going to go, like I said, I'm going to go through all of this. I know it's written down, but, I'm going to read it because it embeds it more into your consciousness, and then we're going to discuss it, or I'm going to discuss it a little bit more. So the first path that he gives here is the Venus path. The Venus path for the individual is the frequency of his/her connection to the ongoing networking of matrices between Earth and its guardian Venus. Both energetically came from the blue star Rigel in the constellation of Orion, and both will energetically return together through the process of light principle 40, planetary ascension. The Venus path contains the light encoding within the DNA of the blue crystal. One crystal out of every 144,000 within a DNA megacrystal emits a blue ray. The rest of the 144,000 emit white light. The Venus path is the corridor home. Our souls will come from different star systems, but our Earth experience hails from Rigel, the blue star in Orion. Thus, all Earth-going souls who choose to ascend with the planet will go through the various gates, a crucial one being that of Venus, to return to the home of Earth. It is like many people originating from other countries, but now all committed to being citizens of a universal country, at least for this period of time, if we can use the word time. Okay, so that's Venus. Now, let me just pause on Venus a minute after having read about it. Venus is a very, very critical for us because, the Earth and Venus, as it said, came in here together and are leaving together. And we're not talking about the physical structure, outer structure. That was formed later. But the codes of the planet, the spirit of the planet, the soul of the planets, they came in together from Rigel, and they're departing. And Venus acts as that pathway. I honestly don't understand all the reasoning for that after all these years, but I do know that Thoth continually brings me back to the fact that Venus is the path home, and the two must work together. Earth and Venus must work together in this process. So when you're working with your Venus path, don't just take the number and, there's a lot of ways you can work with the numbers, and we're going to get to that in a minute. That really is not in here. But don't just take the number and work with the number, work with the number. Think about where it's coming from. Your Venus, if that's your Venus number, okay? So when you're thinking of that number that has been given uniquely to you, that is your Venus number, think Venus. Feel the energies of Venus. Feel the path home. Feel any connections you might have with Venus. Maybe past life connections, maybe bloodline connections, because many, many souls on this planet have Venusian bloodlines. Not everyone, and it doesn't make you special if you have Venus bloodlines. I mean, we're all connected. If you're on this planet, you're connected to Venus, okay? But there are some specific bloodlines that are still circulating on the planet, and some people have a lot of it, some people have a little of it. Doesn't matter, all is one. But if you have a lot of Venusian energy in your system, you're going to kind of feel more Venusian when you when you run through your Venus path, You just need to know these things. So kind of connect up with it and see what it feels for you. Okay, so now we go to the Earth Atoma path. The Holy of Holies of this planet is its interdimensional sun at the center. This is the heart of Earth. Souls incarnated on Earth are in constant resonance and synergy with its pulsing and expanding, contracting field. The planetary genius of Earth is within the Earth. Excuse me, a little dry throat there. The planetary genius of Earth is within the Earth's Atoma. This is the divine intelligence of all the being of the planet, including humanity. So we, as humans, draw upon the rainbow of light rays radiating from this inner sun, each ray expressing an aspect of the divine heart intelligence of our planet and us. So in looking at the Earth Atoma, now when you're doing your Earth Atoma number, feel your connection. We all have atomas. In the human being, it's the higher heart. It's above the higher heart, sort of just out in front of the body in the energy field. So our heart atoma is most synchronized with our being when we're in heart resonance, obviously. So when you're working with Earth Atoma, you really need to feel that heart resonance and connect consciously, intentionally, your heart atoma with the atoma in the inner Earth. So feel that energy working as you're working with the Earth Atoma number. So now solar. The sun of our solar system is the habitation of the living lights, angelic beings, overlighting this system of planets. It is also the gate to other dimensions from whence many souls in this system have originally come. Throughout our life on planet Earth, we receive millions of light codes, well, more than millions, gazillions, I guess, from the living lights of this, our solar star, coming to us from throughout the universe, giving us the nourishment of our incarnated energy systems, the nourishment that our incarnated energy systems need to stay oriented to our programs of universal light, the songs of the stellar seeds. So feeling the solar energy, the emblems of the gods, feeling the connection to the star lords and the solar, which are the solar lords, and all of this energy coming through from the galactic beings, the archangels, all of this galactic being that you are, coming through your solar system, because we are currently in the solar system, through our solar imprint, the divine imprint that is given the planet that we're on from this solar system and this solar sun. Galactic center. From the galactic center, the center of the Milky Way, there is a black hole around which is formed the galactic cross tree of that galaxy's whole Genesis program. It is an interdimensional holographic liquid light field kept in this liquid crystal state by its proximity to the galactic center's black hole, or interdimensional portal. On Earth, we receive the codes of galactic center in the deepest part of our spiritual being, that part which is constantly drawing us, impelling us, indeed commanding us to expand in divine being. So here is the node of our expansion. We're moving beyond everything. We're going into the galactic center. We're going to become poised on the lip of the black hole that would take us not just into another star field, but to a whole nother cosmogenesis. And as we think about that and connect to it while we're running this number, you see, we're connecting to that enormously expanded field that is us. Okay, so now you have your template, you know, the image, and I'm going to show it to you again, this one right here. And you can put this on your computer so that you're looking at your desktop so you see it every day for a period of time, or you can pop it up really quick and just look at it and meditate with it. You can also print this out in a small form so it's easy to put on your altar. And you can, put your hand on it as you're running your numbers. You can put crystals on it, charge them, and carry them on your person, and maybe charge them every day a little while, or once a week, and carry that crystal or crystals. And to run the numbers, you place your hand on the diagram. You can either place the left hand or the right hand. Actually, you can place either one for this purpose. And you take one number at a time, and it's one path. It's not just the number, it's the path. So read about your path again, just briefly, so you've got it in your heart mind, and then connect and run those numbers. And you can say the numbers out loud. Maybe put the paper in front of you with a number written on it so you can see it if you're not good at memorizing for a few minutes, the number, and just keep saying it over and over and over. And once you've done it, so, with your eyes open and you're looking at the number a while, then close your eyes and just keep repeating the number, and visualize, go into your third eye, allow the energy to move up into the third eye, and allow whatever projection comes through. You might see green. You might see, I'm not trying to program you with green light, but green is very often the color that comes through with these numbers. But you might see violet, purple, pink. There might be other colors for other reasons that are coming through you at that time. Higher frequency. And so whatever comes through, and maybe it won't be a color, maybe it'll be something else, or maybe it'll just be the number. Let it flow and let it work for you how it works. And so you go through each one of your numbers, and how long do you say it? As long as you feel like, however long. Maybe Venus you want to do 5 times, maybe you want to do Earth 20 times. I don't know, whatever comes through, and each day it might be different, it probably will be. Just let it move. We're dealing with the randomness situation here where all these numbers and things are coming through randomly sequencing. Not random like just helter-skelter, any old thing. What Thoth calls sacred randomness, which means it's not random as we understand it, but it's being triggered off of the quantum entanglement fields that we're connecting through. So that's a big difference. Actually, nothing is really random. Any random machines are going to be focusing on sacred randomness. We just don't understand that, and we think, oh, I just happened to pick this up, or this happened. It's going through that entanglement field all the time. So that's how you would work with it. So another thing to bring to your attention is that you're generating a lot of activity with blue needles when you're working with this program. So let me just read a little bit here about blue needles. Highly charged itonic streams falling interdimensionally into a moving Siegel field, creating whirling, elongated holes in time. Visualize a black hole spun at its vortex while it is slipping or falling through its own space-time hole. I really am not going to take the time to tell you what itonic means or Siegel field, but you don't really need to know to pick up on this right here. You can go to my Spirit Mythos Akashic definitions and plug these things in and find them. blue needles within quartz or lithium crystalline structure, or portals into the greater grid surrounding the divine pillar of light. By interfacing with these crystals, human beings within the second millennium fractured reality may consciously activate their zeta bodies, another term, all through which they will be able to access interdimensional zones for various light working projects having to do with redesigning the present into sacred geometries of the future. Now, a spinor Siegel field, we do have it written here, so good, I'll read it. A spinor Siegel field is a field for an energy system that spins out of a central point. These fields have an axis in constant rotation. They are responsible for holding a dynamic balance between the universe and the anti-universe. There are numerous spinor fields created in any given reality system to affect this balance. They keep the universe dynamic by a constant rotation of their axis at the center of the universe's atomic beam. As the spinor spins, it creates momentum and a force field of hypergravity. Hypergravity is not like ordinary gravity, although the latter is influenced by it. The hypergravity of a spinor field creates interlinking patterns of receptivity from one system to another, forming an ever-expanding schematic of cooperative functions. So now, my Akashic definition of zeta body. It's just an excerpt from it. The zeta body is not in direct spiritual matter alignment with the second millennium, current incarnated form, but is rather a double of first, third millennium, past and future realities, wave creation. Wave creation is a path that is created when two similar yet separate realities have occasion to touch, or more appropriately to know one another. This forms a wave bending back on itself from both directions, meaning that it is bent by both realms of sentient consciousness. In this way, the dipole of an event is created. A zeta body, then, acts as an extension of the wave creation, in this instance between the first and the third millennium, past and future. Somewhat like a time traveler, it can carry light codes through the portal between the three realities, bringing a stronger coupling to the building charge of their shared wave creation. Note the application of the word millennium is not an earth time as we know it, but in the earth reality zones of past, present, and future. Now, I know this is all mind-bending, blowing, and you're going, what? But this is on the paper that you receive when you receive a Seraphi profile. So I just read it quickly. But the important thing about the zeta body and all of this is that you are really touching into that frequency of energy. You may not be going poof and traveling through all these interdimensions as you're doing your Seraphi profile, but it is affecting you. It's working with those zeta principle in your spatial reality. And this is really important because, that's who we really are, all these higher modalities of being. And this part that's sitting here in our chairs and listening to this and talking are just a fraction of who we really are. So getting in touch with these frequencies really, really helps you in this lifetime, and certainly it helps you prepare for the next, or for what comes after we leave this body at this time. So be aware that when you're working with your Seraphi profile, it's up to you how much it helps you, because you really need to work with it, and use the numbers. And once you start doing that, you see that the numbers that I give you are the numbers that in that instant have correlations for you. The next instant, the numbers would be different. So you're saying, well, then how can these numbers help me if I'm over here now and you got them when I was over there then? But you see, we're talking about micro units here. So they still apply an energy frequency for some period of time, and they're going to keep applying until you have, two ways it happens. One, if you just work with it intensely, you're going to move outside of that energy field faster. Then needing some new numbers, or the other way is that you just don't use it at all. It just sits there, and 6 months later, it's really not as applicable. So if I were to turn around, okay, let's say I sat down and I did your Seraphi numbers, and 5 minutes later I did them again, they would be different numbers. But both would be workable for you for a period of time, because you cannot, the numbers move so quickly through the field. They don't stay there for 6 months. Oh, this is the number, it's staying there now for this long. The numbers are representing these frequencies, and they're just constantly moving. But Thoth assures me that even though I get them in that instant, it is going to be applicable for you for a long period of time. If you just ran numbers for that whole period, they would all be applicable for a period of time. So that's kind of how it works. And I guess I've talked long enough on this subject for now, but I do plan on looking at the Seraphi program again, the one that we kind of started in, I guess it was 2007, and maybe it needs to be done more fully now. And, I'm just going to look into that and see what happens. So goodbye to all. Thank you for listening.